everyone! My name is Maki. I'm an angelic being who adores Gundam. I came all the way from Japan to share the wonders of the Gundam series with you all. Today, I'll introduce a special mobile suit. Take a look at this mobile suit. It's a beautiful Gundam equipped with parts like angel wings. This machine is called Wing Gundam Zero. Ha! Something seems off. Some of you might feel that way. Wing Gundam Zero has already been covered in a previous lecture. But this Gundam is also Wing Gundam Zero. It seems there might be a complex reason behind this. This Gundam appears in a story that depicts the future after the conclusion of the TV anime Gundam Wing. The title is called Waltz. This time, I will be explaining this Wing Gundam Zero. Let's first clarify what kind of entity this Wing Gundam Zero is positioned as I mentioned earlier. Waltz is a work that depicts the future of the TV anime. Considering this fact, you might interpret it as a mobile suit that is an enhanced modification of the Wing Gundam Zero that appeared in the TV anime. However, this is incorrect. At least, it's incorrect according to the official settings. When this Gundam was first revealed, this Wing Gundam Zero was announced as an identical entity to the Wing Gundam Zero that appeared in the TV anime. It's perplexing information. Perhaps it's easier to understand if you think of it as different actors playing the same role in a work. Mr. Hajime Ketoki redesigned the Wing Gundam Zero that appeared in the TV anime for the movie anime Waltz. He stated as follows. The difference in this Gundam's design is my answer, interpreting that Waltz is a curtain call for the TV anime. As a result of enhancing fan service, this Wing Gundam Zero was born. To add some information, Mr. Ketoki received feedback from some fans saying that the design of the Wing Gundam Zero, which was active in the TV anime, was mechanical unlike an insect. In response to this feedback, there is also a story that he designed the Wing Gundam Zero that appears in Waltz with the intention of settling the name Wing. This was the setting when it was first released. Is it different now? In fact, the setting is still not stable even now. This is troubling, but it's also proof that Gundam Wing is popular. This Gundam has been given the mission to always provide fresh enjoyment to fans because of its popularity. An official comic book titled Glory of the Defeated was released in this comic. A mobile suit called Wing Gundam Proto Zero, which resembles the Wing Gundam Zero that appeared in the TV anime, appears again. There's another Zero. In the story, this Wing Gundam Proto Zero self-destructs, then from a heavily damaged state, it undergoes repairs and modifications, and an episode occurs where the Wing Gundam Zero from Waltz is born at this time, using the data of the Turkey frame, which appears in this comic and is equipped with wing-like parts. The wing-like parts of the Wing Gundam Zero are manufactured. This is the more recent setting. The content explained here also applies to the other 4 Gundams that appear in Gundam Wing. All the Gundams appearing in Waltz have a different design from the TV anime version. The complex settings were born as a result of many people enjoying Gundam Wing. Furthermore, there is the issue of what is the appropriate name to call this Wing Gundam Zero. At the time of the release of Waltz, it was called Wing Gundam Zero Custom. This was also a measure to determine the names of products such as plastic models. Releasing it under the completely identical name Wing Gundam Zero would be unwise for a company. It would be very unkind if consumers mistakenly purchased the wrong product. The name was born out of a desire to allow fans to enjoy more. However, this name led to a new misunderstanding. By appending custom at the end of the name, it resulted in the impression that it was a machine that had been enhanced from the Wing Gundam Zero of the TV anime version. In some magazines, it was introduced as a machine that was enhanced for further battles from the Wing Gundam Zero. The same treatment was often received in video games dealing with Gundam. Therefore, in later years, the notation Wing Gundam Zero U version came to be used. The notation of adding U version at the end is probably standard today. However, the method of calling it Wing Gundam Zero Custom is also a notation method that has been used for a long time. It would be good to remember both ways of calling it. The name used will vary among fans, and neither is incorrect. I believe it is elegant to accept all the history that has been accumulated. Let's explore the wings of the Wing Gundam Zero. These parts are referred to as wing binders. There is one set of large wings and one set of small wings, composed of a total of 4 wings. Firstly, the larger wings take on the role of the main wings. These main wings play the same role as bird wings in places where gravity exists, such as on Earth. In space, they assist in a maneuver called handbrake. Handbrake is a term frequently used in the Gundam series. It refers to a method of controlling the posture of large objects, like mobile suits, by moving their arms and legs. In fact, real-world astronauts also control their posture using their limbs during extraterrestrial activities. However, handbrake is a specialized term in the world of Gundam and is not applied in the real world. Returning to the topic of the wing binders, these main wings can be moved freely. They can even be used in a way that covers the entire mobile suit. The wings are made of the same Gundam alloy as the whole body, making them very sturdy. Therefore, they also have the function of a shield. It's even possible for them to protect the entire machine from friction hit when entering the atmosphere. Now, let's discuss the smaller auxiliary wings. These wings specialize in functioning as thrusters. The thrust that can be obtained from these wings is extremely powerful. In fact, even if the main wings are lost in battle, it's still possible to fly using the thrust from the auxiliary wings alone. When it came to animating these wings within the story, designer Mr. Katoki had a request. He asked that even if the movements seem unrealistic, they should be aimed to be gracefully beautiful. The Wing Gundam Zero performed just as requested, and thus gained its current popularity. Furthermore, let me add some information. When these wings move, objects resembling feathers are depicted scattering. This portrayal had been perceived by fans for a long time as a symbolic representation. However, in recent years, detailed settings have been developed for this phenomenon. The wings of the Wing Gundam Zero are composed of null-seized parts called fractal feather layer structure, which can dissipate heat and shock by peeling and reorganizing the parts. Therefore, the null-seized particles that are peeled off and dispersed look like scattered feathers. These scattering wings are called seraphim feathers. It's quite fashionable, isn't it? And we must not forget the existence of a mobile suit called Talgie Friel. These wing binders were originally part of the equipment on the Talgie Friel. They were equipped when Zex switched to the Wing Gundam Zero. The wing binders equipped on the Talgie Friel were not used due to measure damage. Based on the data obtained from battles and suggestions from the Zero system, a new wing binder was created and equipped by the engineer Howard. This is a setting added in the comics. These wings are very powerful equipment. With these wings, the Wing Gundam Zero was able to achieve maneuverability and agility surpassing that of the Talgie. Let's explore the other equipment. First, let's talk about the beam saber. It is stored in the sub-wings. Because the energy supply system is exceptionally powerful compared to other mobile suits, the beam saber itself is very powerful. In the story, it is used frequently in confrontations with Ultron Gundam. The sight of it combating Ultron Gundam, which excels in close combat on an equal footing, is memorable. Wing Gundam Zero is a mobile suit that can excel in hand-to-hand combat thanks to its high speed and powerful beam saber. Next is the machine cannon. This rotating Vulcan cannon with 4 barrels is equipped on both shoulders. Actually, the Endless Waltz version of the Wing Gundam Zero does not have a Vulcan cannon mounted on its head. Traditionally, Gundam units appearing in the Gundam series have a head-mounted Vulcan. However, this Wing Gundam Zero does not. I believe this was a significant challenge for Mr. Kitoki, who was responsible for the main character of a traditional series. What do you think was the outcome? The Endless Waltz version of the Wing Gundam Zero reigns as a highly popular mobile suit. Speaking of the machine cannon, it has a surprising feature. In situations where the Zero system is activated, it can be fired solely by the pilot's thoughts. By ignoring the action of operating the trigger, it's possible to effectively utilize split-second judgments. And then there's the Twin Buster Rifle, the main weapon. It is essentially the same weapon that was active in the TV anime. Minor design changes have been made, and a mechanism has been added that folds it up when storing parts. In the plastic model, etc., a gimmick has been added to store it on the sub-wings on the back, when not in use. Does it seem non-existent in the scene, where it's fighting Ultron Gundam? Not at all. It's just an illusion. You're just missing it. Let's make sure to open the eye of your mind and check. In the story, the scene where it fires at maximum output in the final scene is impressive. It's said that firing in a state where the 2 Buster rifles are linked can exert a power capable of destroying a large space colony. However, the recoil is also tremendous. Without the robust structure of Wing Gundam Zero and the support of the wing winder to disperse shocks and energy, it would be difficult to fire. When the Twin Buster Rifle appears in video games, etc., it is often treated as a weapon that can adjust output. Now, the following are weapons added in the glory of the defeated comics. First is the Wing Shield. Actually, thanks to this shield, this Wing Gundam Zero can transform into flight mode. However, it was not demonstrated in Endless Waltz because it was lost in the decisive battle with White Fang. Next is the mechas Wuberg. This is a weapon that can be used as a beam rifle on its own. Being smaller than the Buster Rifle, it serves as a more maneuverable weapon. In addition, by combining 3 mechas Weirich with the Twin Buster Rifle, it can be used as an extremely powerful weapon called Grease Wuberg Buster. Furthermore, in the final phase of the scene, where the huge battleship Libra is destroyed, it was used in the state of Grease Wuberg Buster Doppelt, where 6 mechas Weirich were combined. Extremely powerful equipment is lined up, isn't it? At the time of the release of Endless Waltz, the equipment was simple, but as the popularity of Wing Gundam Zero increased, many additional pieces of equipment were born. Perhaps more will continue to be born in the future. Let's delve into the notable exploits of Wing Gundam Zero. Of course, the most eye-catching scene is its battle with Ultron Gundam. In order to question the universe about what justice is, what peace is, and the meaning of a soldier's existence, Hero faces off against Y, who becomes his adversary. Y declares, "I have become evil to confirm justice." Engaging in a melee, they match each other's abilities with Ultron Gundam, which is known for its proficiency in close-quarter combat. What is even more astonishing is that during this face-off, Hero completely disregards the assistance of the Zero system. The Zero system is designed to pursue victory only in response to Y's suffering. Hero chose to face the challenge himself. What kind of ending did this confrontation lead to? Hero tells Y that the act of fighting and conflict is a deeply saddening matter. He then deactivates the functions of Wing Gundam Zero and sinks into the depths of the ocean. Is this defeat? The judgment is left to us, the audience. This is my personal opinion. Through this experience, Y brings about a change in his way of thinking. In the final moments of Endless Waltz, he declares I can relinquish my weapon. After experiencing battle, learning the folly of war, and obtaining peace through his own will, he achieves this result. This is also the realization of the peace envisioned by Treat's Kashrasher. Incidentally, there's a little fan service in this battle. In the Wing Gundam TV anime, the first battle saw the shocking development of the main character's Gundam, Wing Gundam being cast into the sea. In fact, the outcome of this battle portrays the same scene. Did you notice? And now, the final scene, he fires at Rio's captured shelter. With the Twin Buster rifle at maximum output, the shelter robust enough to withstand nuclear weapons, and the operation of the shelter's shield defense system is mentioned. He fires at this shelter with the Twin Buster rifle 3 times. Moreover, according to a soldier's dialogue, it is revealed that the aim of Wing Gundam Zero's shot is accurate to 2 decimal places. It's an extremely precise shot. In the middle of these shots, he receives concentrated attacks from a large group of serpents, the state-of-the-art mobile suits. However, even after sustaining significant damage, he manages to carry out the final shot. The depiction of firing in a broken state is also an homage to past Gundam works. The very first anime Gundam also shot down the last enemy with a beam rifle in a state where it lost its head and one arm. This scene is sometimes called the last shooting. So cool! And there's another hidden direction in this scene. In fact, when Hero executes the last shot, he cuts off the Zero system. The off display appears on the monitor. But that's not all. When Hero executes the last shot, he purposely misses the aim. Please confirm the moment when the aim moves slightly. Be sure to check the footage of Endless Waltz. Hero was prepared to lose rear, the heroine due to the attack from the Twin Buster rifle to prevent the repetition of the history of war. However, a memory of his past briefly flashes across Hero's mind. The past where he inadvertently took the life of an innocent girl and a puppy due to his destructive actions. Hero rejected the complete victory offered by the Zero system. As a result, the shelter was not destroyed, and the battle ended. Wing Gundam Zero was severely damaged due to the recoil of the Twin Buster rifle, the cumulative damage from the battle with Ultron Gundam, and the concentrated attack from the serpents. Wing Gundam Zero ended up as the loser. However, witnessing this scene, the people voiced their strong objection to the resurgence of war and took a stand. Treat's Kashrasher once said this: you must not become a winner using the Zero system. I think the losers who create the new history are beautiful. How did you feel after watching this story? How do you interpret Hero, who followed his own will, not the weapon called the Zero system? And please reflect on today's explanation. In the story of Endless Waltz, Wing Gundam Zero has never won a victory. Now let's discuss one more subtle, yet potent aspect of Wing Gundam Zero. Did you not find it peculiar in the final battle of Endless Waltz, when Wing Gundam Zero battered and bruised, still managed to fire its weapon? You might think it's cool, but it's perhaps unnatural that it could still fire while being so heavily damaged. Actually, Wing Gundam Zero utilizes what's called a Zero frame, a skeletal structure that possesses the same flexibility as a human, enabling it to move as such, while also being incredibly sturdy. According to some documents, it is stated that even in a state only with its frame, it retains combat capabilities equivalent to that of targeting. So, Wing Gundam Zero is essentially this formidable Zero frame, augmented with powerful equipment like wing binders and the Twin Buster rifle. That's why it could still fire even in a tattered state. Of course, eventually, the frame itself reached its limit and ended up heavily damaged. What were your thoughts when you first saw Wing Gundam Zero, a Gundam that looks like an angel? To be honest, I was initially taken aback. But after seeing it in action, I was captivated. I think it's truly magnificent to take on old traditions, head-on in order to take new challenges. Mr. Katoki, who was responsible for the design, didn't just create Wing Gundam Zero. I believe he also showed many creators the beauty and possibilities of designing freely. I see it as a Gundam that imparts courage to the observer, giving them wings to take on challenges. Lastly, I have an important piece of information for you. In fact, you're currently being targeted by the Twin Buster Rifle. Wing Gundam Zero is flying high above you. Please activate your shelter shield switch immediately. To avoid detection by hero, I've disguised the switch. The subscribe button you see on your screen is the activation switch for the shelter shield. You need a triple shield to withstand the full power of the Twin Buster Rifle 3 times. The like button and the bell button also serve as the activation switch for the shelter shield. I wish you the best. Let's meet again in the next lecture.